This video is the first video in the Algebra series of videos, and in particular in this video we're going to focus on the terminology used in algebra. The first term that we're going to look at is a polynomial. Now a polynomial is an expression containing a power of x, such as 4x squared minus 3x plus 7. With this there's also the term expression. Now you might be unfamiliar what an expression is, but an expression in maths is just a random combination of numbers, variables, functions, anything, and a polynomial is an expression. A big difference between a polynomial and an expression is that a polynomial will only have whole numbers in it, whereas an expression can contain fractions, decimals, or irrational numbers. Looking at the polynomial 4x squared minus 3x plus 7, we say that that has three terms, and that's another term that you need to be okay with. Terms are the part of the polynomial. Here, when we have 4x squared, that's one term, minus 3x is another term, and plus 7 is the third term in this polynomial. If we have the expression 2x plus 4, well, this expression or polynomial has two terms. It's important to note that when the highest power of x in a polynomial is 1, it is called a linear expression. So for example, if we had 2x plus 4, that would be a linear expression, or we could have something like 4x minus 9. All of those are linear expressions. However, if we had something like a half x plus 3 over 2, this would be a linear expression, but it most definitely would not be a linear polynomial. Remember, a polynomial has whole numbers such as 4 minus 3 plus 1,000 or minus 400. Here we have fractions. We have a half and we have 3 over 2. Now when the highest power of x in a polynomial is 2, it's called a quadratic expression. And you would have seen quadratic expressions before, hopefully. And a quadratic expression could be something as simple as 2x squared. The highest power of x is 2. We could also have something like 2x squared plus 4x minus 9. That's a quadratic expression because it has x with a power of 2 in it. And the x to the power of 2 is the highest power in the polynomial. We could also have something like y squared plus 7y plus 3. This is also a quadratic expression, but note here that instead of using x, we're using y. And we could do the same for another quadratic expression and have it in the form of z. So we could have a half z squared plus a third. Again, this would be a quadratic expression, but it wouldn't be a quadratic polynomial because a polynomial only has whole numbers. When the highest power of x in a polynomial is 3, it's called a cubic expression. Now, instead of having like in the quadratic where we have x to the power of 2, we can now have x to the power of 3. So x to the power of 3 would be a cubic expression. We could also have something like x cubed plus 4x squared plus 9. That is also a cubic expression because the highest power of x is 3. Again, we could have something like a third x squared plus 4/5 x plus 2. This would be a cubic expression, but would not be a cubic polynomial, as a cubic polynomial would just have whole numbers instead of fractions. The number in front of x is known as the coefficient. In the polynomial 9x cubed plus 4x squared plus 3 minus 2, the coefficient of x cubed is 9 and the coefficient of x squared is 4, and so on. Looking at some of the expressions that we have here, looking back at the 2x plus 4, the coefficient of x is 2. In this one, the coefficient of x is 4. Coming down to this expression here, the coefficient of x squared is 2. Interestingly, when we have y squared plus 7y plus 3, the coefficient of the y squared is 1. Whenever we have a term that has no number in it and has a variable, there must be a 1 in front of it. Minus 2 is called a constant when we're looking at 9x cubed plus 4x squared plus 3 minus 2. And it's a constant as it doesn't change, so it is constant. If we look at some of the other examples, down here at the cubic expression where we have x cubed plus 4x squared plus 9, the 9 is known as the constant, the coefficient of x squared is 4, and the coefficient of x cubed is 1. The letters in the polynomial are called variables. In the expression 15x minus 3, the variable is x. In the expression 3y squared plus 7, the variable is y. We can see that by looking at the expressions on the right hand side. We have the expression 2x squared plus 4x minus 9. X is the variable here. In the expression y squared plus 7y plus 3, y is the variable. And finally, at the one here at the bottom, we have a half z squared plus a third. Z here is the variable. That's the end of this video, going through the terminology that is used when dealing with algebra. The next video is on adding like terms.